All right, so you want to know what it's like to drive Lyft and how much you could make driving Lyft in 2025. Let's discuss. Hey everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to the RideShare Guy. And today we're talking about earnings, what you can expect to make driving Lyft in 2025. And I got to get a quick disclaimer out of the way. When it comes to how earnings are made or earned, people can look at it at a couple of different ways. The first way is per order. So per rideshare request that comes through and you take, you could be doing it per that, or you could be looking at it as online time. So when you turn the app on to when you turn the app off, or when you go from your driveway out to back in your driveway, you consider that all online time. Or it's the way the companies look at it, per active time. And active time just means periods 2 and 3, which means the time that you take a ride request to pick up the passenger and to drop off the passenger. It's periods 2 and 3, and that skips out all of period 1, which means you're online waiting for a ride to come in, but you don't have a butt in the car, or you're not on a way to pick up a passenger. So that's all of period 1. So period 2 and 3, which is active time or active time by the companies, is always going to be higher. So if you hear something like 32 per active hour from Lyft, that doesn't mean that you're actually going to make that. That means that that's only during the times of period 2 and 3. Now, if you're looking at it from a per ride, you might be looking at it about $7 to $10 or so per ride coming in. And it's going to depend on several factors like where you're located, when you're driving, all of those factors, plus a lot more that we could get into. But yes, it's probably going to be $7 to $10. But you're the average person, I'm assuming. So you want to know, what is it per hour? What am I going to be making? Everything else is per hour. If I go and work a job at McDonald's, that's a per hour pay. If I go and work a job somewhere else, that's a per hour pay. If I'm working for a painter, again, per hour. So let's look at it per hour, per online hour. And per online just means when you're online to when you're going home, how much are you looking at making? Now, Lyft is a little bit unique. Lyft is not like Uber. Uber has many different facets within the app. So you can do food delivery, you can do package delivery, you can do rideshare. And there's more different rides that are associated with Uber versus Lyft. Lyft does have different tiers of rides, and that's really much about it. Will they get a food delivery, or will they partner with Doordash? I don't know. That's speculation. We could talk about that on a different video, but you came for earnings. You didn't come for anything else. So Lyft is a little bit more unique. Not only that, though, it's also a little bit slower than Uber. So there's a lot more rides that are happening on the Uber platform than there are on the Lyft platform for the majority of cities. So how much can you realistically look at getting on Lyft? Well, let's say per online hour, averagely, you're probably going to make between 19 and 22 an hour. It's going to be a little bit lower than if you were driving just on Uber, which is going to be about 20 to 24 an hour. But it's still not going to be as bad. But it really depends on the area you're in. So you could be missing out on a lot if you're just driving Lyft. So if you're on both platforms, you open yourself up to all of the potential ride requests that are coming in your market and in your area. So that means you want to be driving on both. And that way, if you're driving on both, you can bump that up to probably 20 to 24 online hour. So Uber probably will be your primary amount of rides that you're going to be taking, and Lyft will kind of be that fill-in. Although there are going to be times where Lyft is going to be much busier than Uber. I've had that happen to me several times, but for the average majority, I take 4 or 5 rides on Uber versus 1 ride on Lyft. So there is a little bit of difference there when it comes to it. And again, like I say, you're going to be a little bit lower on the earnings because it is not as popular of a platform versus something like Uber. So make sure that you are signed up on both. And if you are just looking on just Lyft, yeah, you're probably going to be making around that 19 to 22 an hour when it comes down to it. You could be making a lot less and you could be making a lot more. And it's all going to depend on how much you are making when it comes to the times that you're going out, the city that you're in, how you're driving, when you're driving, and a whole host of factors that will roll into it. Now, one of the things that we do recommend if you're new and just starting out, you want to have a great foundation of that. here at the RideShare Guy is great. But if you want to take a little bit further, you could check out our RideShare Guy delivery course, which is called Maximum Ride Sharing Profits. And it's going to go over that basics, the foundation, and it's going to get you started for success. So if you're averaging 15 an hour, maybe you'll bump it up to 20, 25 an hour. Maybe you'll even take it higher. There's a few drivers out there that we know that will be constantly making 30, 32, 35 an hour. So there is that. Not only that, another little bit of a disclaimer, depending on where you are in the country, there are states that have minimum earnings guarantees, and it's all going to be based on either active time or it's going to be based on time and distance of the ride. So it just depends on where you are in the states and if your state has something enacted. There's already a handful of states that have the active time minimum guarantee, and there's a couple of states that have the per time and distance active guarantee as well too. So those are a couple of factors to take into account. And there's more states that are looking at this type of legislation already. So it could be something where you might be making lower than that state mandate, but you'll get a top off and get up to a certain point in order to make that where it is to the minimum earnings guarantee. Or you could just blow it out the water because you took the course. Now, another great resource that you can use to see how you're compared to other drivers in your area and what they're averaging, because every market is different. Austin, Texas, and Orlando, Florida is going to be a lot different than New York City. It's going to be a lot different from Washington, D.C. It's going to be a lot different from Seattle, Washington. So it's going to have a lot of different factors. So if you want to see what your particular area is making and what you're averaging compared to the other drivers in your market, make sure you download the Solo app because it's going to give you that. Plus, it's going to help you manage your business. It's going to help track your miles. It's going to help you with expenses. And it's going to help you understand your rideshare business a lot better. So make sure you download the Solo app. Link is going to be in the description below. You can check it out. And of course, I want to know, what are you making? Are you also doing it per ride coming in? Is that how you're figuring out your earnings? Are you figuring it out per an online hour, or are you going in on active hour, which is pretty hard to actually kind of figure out unless you're using the apps. But either way, how do you figure it out? What are you averaging? Let us know in the comments below, and also where are you from? And if you have other questions driving Lyft, make sure you put them in the comments and we might make a video on it. With that being said, we'll see you next time.